Hi, I'm Dan Whittaker. Today I'm here to talk to you about the golf swing of Matteo Manassero. I'm going to analyse his swing, and I'm also going to show you why he has been such a phenomenal talent in the amateur ranks, and also why he's had such a great year and first year on the tour, and what I think are the key points to his golf swing that make him stand out from the crowd, and the bits that I feel are going to give him longevity on the tour and potentially see him go on and win major championships. First of all, we've got some footage here of him from the front view from the BMW Championship that I think was held in Germany last summer. So we'll first of all have a look at it from here. His setup position is outstanding. It's a very, very modern setup and a very modern golf swing. What we're going to actually see is a swing that's got very few excess moving parts and has got a lot of stability in it, and a very passive club face. Now, to start with here, what we're going to see is that Matteo starts to move away via turning his shoulders, and it creates a very, very good one-piece move. At this point, we can see the triangle he created to address from his arms, shoulders and club is still maintained, and his club face is still looking at the ball. From here, what he then does is, after this one-piece move here, he begins to rotate the left arm. You can see how the right arm is now starting to fold. As the right arm is beginning to fold in here, we see that as the left arm is rotating, the club is now starting to set. We also notice that the line that his left hip started on, it still remained on that line. So, going back to a Percy Boomer's turning inside the barrel, which was one of his concepts, he's actually got that happening in the lower half of Matteo's golf swing right here. We take this all the way to the top, and we see that the hip is still on the line it started on, but his left shoulder has stretched across to the inside of his right thigh. So he has transferred weight to the right leg, but he's turned into the right side as opposed to over the right side. The over the right side move is one that requires a lot of drive to get back to the golf ball, whereas Matteo's requires very little movement to get over the left side, therefore get around it and be very open at impact as he strikes the ball. Now, what we have a look again is, here's where the right hip is, and we just draw a little line in there, and we just take this to the top. We see that the right hip is very clearly turned deep in the backswing, as where the space it occupied at address has cleared out the way and has been replaced by some daylight, whereas the left hip is still 100% on the line with which it started. You'll also see from the left shoulder here down to the left hip that the left shoulder is stretching across. He's making a very big shoulder turn here, I would say way beyond the 90. Unfortunately, you cannot measure this 100% from here because it's not a dead square on camera angle. It's slightly off from the front view. But what we also see is that one of his tendencies that will sometimes just make him hit it a little offline occasionally, when it's not very often, is he just sometimes get a little out of sync in the backswing. So the shoulder turn stops here, and we just see a couple of frames of run-on with the hands there. Now, the run-on basically means that at the top of the golf swing, when the left shoulder turn stops, you ideally want the hands and the club to stop at the exact moment together. His runs on a tiny bit here, but we're talking very little. Now let's have a look at it from down the line from Augusta. This one is on the 4th tee, the par 3 at Augusta. Now, once again, excellent setup angles that we're going to see him on here. Now we see a tremendous one-piece move here, and a fine example of the right side turning away in the backswing. We see the butt of the club is actually moving in closer to his legs. So if it moves in closer to the right thigh, the butt of the club head stays outside of the hands. This now shows that the body's turning away, and this is a very much a one-piece move away, and the club face is still looking at the golf ball. This would be a first move that I would try anybody to, or say that anybody should try and employ in their golf swing, and it's something that I would encourage most of my students to get. And to be honest, a lot of Matteo's golf swing he kind of exemplified in quite a few of my students' swings, and it is one that I'm very, very keen on. Now what you see here now is that the left, from around about the 8 o'clock position here, bear in mind that we call 6 o'clock the golf ball, so 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30, the left arm starting to rotate, the left wrist is cocking, and the club is now on plane. It's very square here, very square in here, and the hands are in line with the sternum being your breastbone. Now, at this point, hands are in front of the body, and as he continues to wind up, the right hip's going back very, very deep. Now, the only little bit of extra power he could end up generating would be if he could just keep the knee flexed a little bit more. He would therefore create a little bit more ground pressure from the right side. But it's not particularly straightening out a lot, the right leg here, but I'd just like to see a little more flex in it. Okay. What happens is the right thigh will always, when it's rotating via the hips, if the hips are moving deep, the thigh will rotate a little bit, so the leg will straighten out a touch, as because there are moving joints here. We can't actually keep the leg 100% in the exact position it started from down the line here and have a deep hip turn, because the thigh bone's rotating with the hip, therefore it's just going to pull the knee a little bit. But I just think he could just get this a little bit stronger. Now, the golf club is beautifully laid off here at the top. We can't quite see it 100%, but I'll draw in where it was a couple of frames ago. So it's over there. So that's it at the top here. There's the club face. The club face, the left arm, and the shoulder plane all match up to one another. This tells us he's very on plane, and the club a little bit laid off here. Now, it should be laid off. For every degree short of parallel at the top of the golf swing, it wants to be a degree short. Every degree short of parallel at the top, it would be degreed laid off from the target line. Another very modern thing he's got here in his swing is his right elbow's in front of his hip, meaning that when we see it here, if we'd see this from the rear view, we'd see that the elbow would be away from the target in front of his right hip, not behind his back. So he's very much got his arms in front now, and then he starts a superb transition from the lower left side. During this, because his arms are in front now, his arms are brought in front of his body here. The elbow is on the right hip, but the shaft is attacking a long way from the inside. The club face is very square right here, and he's got a tremendous gap between his hands and the club head. So the club's attacking from the inside, but his arms are in front of his body. Now, this is going to allow him to really attack the ball from the inside, but with a lot of speed. There's a lot of space from the arms when they're in front of the body, but there's also a lot of depth from the club head, so it's attacking from a very acute angle. Now, what will happen now is this is 100% where we see the modern bit in the golf swing, coming back from Ben Hogan, where he used the pivot to pull the arms through, and he allowed the left side in particular to pull everything down the downswing. So we see it in Matteo's case here. At this point, we can see he's over his left side, over the left pivot point. Now what he'll do is he starts to unwind around that left pivot point, and we can see this via the toe of the right foot starting to work up, left foot starting to work up in the air. So it's telling he's over the left side, and he's now winding around the heel. So he's in the process of starting to post up. His right elbow's on his hip. His right foot is very quiet. He's rolling over to the instep. So we're not seeing a lot of drive and a lot of excessive motion from the lower half. And what we're going to continue to see is the butt of the club's working around. As the butt of the club works back around and gets in line with his left hip, so too does the club head work out, and the face squares up. Now, this is phenomenal right here, as the club face is very, very passive. Okay, if we were to have a look at this and just take it back a few frames to draw these lines in for us, we're seeing that this is the arc that the club head's working on. We just join these up a second here. We see how square that club face is to the arc on the way through. Now that's means a very passive club face. Doesn't mean that he's holding it open or holding it off, because what we'd see is the butt of the club's working around, the arms extend here, but the club face is now fully released here as the left wrist has been allowed to recup, and he firmly then just unwinds and is posted up over the left side. Now what we'll do is we'll have a look at this from the front view. From the front view, what we're going to see is from the top here, we see a good move there from the left knee, left hip, left shoulder. Okay, bear in mind we know that he kept his left hip over the on the starting line. Okay, the left knee's worked in as it correctly should do during the pivot. It's now re-rotating across, and he's now over the left side, as we saw from down the line when both knees were parallel to one another. He's now into the position here where his elbow is on his hip, and what he's now going to do is he's now going to start turning around left side. We can see how the left foot's rolled, which means he's over, and now the toe's working up as he's unwinding into the left heel. Right foot's very passive and down, and we see tremendous extension here as he's over his left side, but we're also starting to see how the club's going to be releasing via the left wrist recupping in here. So left wrist is recupped and he's fully over his left side. Now it's a tremendous move that we're seeing him employ. Basically he's using his pivot to control the golf swing. He's allowing a centripetal acceleration from his body to provide a centripetal force to the club head, and the club head is just moving on a bigger arc than his body. Essentially, we see that his body turn is his body's turning in one arc, his hands are moving in another arc, and the club head's moving in a greater arc. So the faster the inside circle moves, the greater speed the outside will move at. The only downside, like I say, with a little bit of run on sometimes is they'll have to extend the right arm a little early in the downswing just to get the arms back in, to get the club squared up. When he gets it fully synced up, which he does do 99% of the time, you're going to see this right elbow being able to stay on the hip all the way through the all the way through the downswing and be there at impact. So this is a slightly different view from the other down the line. It's more looking at him from this perspective. Okay, so we're going to see a different view of what the club's doing, but we also get to see where the right elbow is in relation to the hip. We can see how it is right in front of the hip here. We'll never see it in this location here, which would be behind him, which then creates a lot of problems for him on the way down, or would do for any golfer on the way down. The club face is very square and the shaft is laid off. Okay, the arms appear slightly steeper from this view because the camera's quite low down and is looking up on him, as opposed to being more level with his hands. So what we now see is we see him get over the left side there. Okay, now he's over the left side here, and now the only thing I would say on this exact golf swing is he didn't actually make a transition quite as good as he could have done, or as he did do at the BMW, where he was more over the left side. This is a little bit more spinny. Okay, meaning he's not quite as over the left side, but tremendous golf shot. I mean, what tells me it was a bit spinny is the look of the hips clearing that little bit earlier, saying he's not over the left side enough. And also the John Doherty, who took this footage, I've seen post on the internet saying that this shot was slightly pulled. So it tells you it's spinny because it's not pulled by him throwing the club out or anything like this, and we'll see how passive the club face is. So what we're going to see here is elbows on the hip beautifully, left side's opening, and we see how the butt of the club works down and around. We see the butt of the club work down, and now we see how the butt of the club starts to round the corner. As the butt of the club goes around, the club head works out, and the toe goes from being square to open. The toe works out, and the face squares up. As the butt works in, the head works out, because that's the mass. The mass is working out, and as the toe works out, that's what squares the golf club up. Now, this will always occur, as we can see that his left arm isn't tight to his body here, but it will be pulled in tight right here at impact. As the left side opens up, it drags the upper left arm into the side of the body, the butt of the club works around and squares the face up. Now, this is phenomenal here. We just see how passive that club face is relative to the arc, how it's now fully released here, and we can see that the arms have never crossed and touched. But the left wrist is recupped right in here, and he then releases round to the finish. A little bit on the upper left arm pulling into the body here. We'd be just going back to this front view. We would see the left shoulder working across. It's over the left side, and how the left arm is tight to the body here at impact, and he's fully over the left side. Yet what we could clearly 100% see from this view was it's away there and it's tight at impact. So that tells us that the left side's opening up and pulling the left arm into the body, the butt working around, and the face is just squaring up on its own, and he is using physics as his ally as opposed to fighting it. Now, I think that we're going to see this young man be around for many years to come. I think he's going to be one of the big hitters in the world game, and potentially go on to win multiple major championships, as he has all of the assets in his golf swing to be able to do that, and he has a tremendous short game to complement it. So I'm going to be very excited to see this young man's progress over the next few years, and one thing is for certain: if he doesn't mess with his golf swing and he just works at keeping it synced up and potentially just tidying it up a little bit and getting himself a little bit stronger, he could be one of the big things in world golf, and could even potentially go on to dominate it. I hope you've all enjoyed the analysis. You can contact me at Dan Whittaker at btconnect.com, and thanks a lot for watching it.